Thank you very much, Deb Cheney. Um, this is one of my favorite events that Rotary does every year. Last year we did it in January. It was live like we've always done it before. And, um, and this event tends to draw in people who are members of clubs that may not have ever been to any other district function, because it gives them a chance to kind of whet their taste buds on what it is that we do. Because many times the meetings that we have are geared towards people who have already been involved and are going and moving forward with whatever project that they're doing. But this event is geared more towards people to get a better understanding of what we do and what we can do after this day, because we talk about so many things. Our theme for this year in my district has been back to the basics. I wanted people to understand that we can't be throwing out terms to president-elects, or we can't be throwing out terms to people that are a member of a club and not able to assume that they know what it is that we're talking about. We need to bring it down to the level of saying, okay, here's what, when we say ripe Holger, it's Rotary International President-elect Holger at the time. And so we tend to throw all these things out all the time. We tend to talk about grants and those things. And my goal this year was to be able, once the year was over, for people to be able to walk away knowing that they now know just a little bit more about what we do. And I'll talk more about that a little bit later on what we've done. But this is going to be a very good day for those of you that like to sit with small groups and just talk. We will have people that we have trained that are going to be in each of those groups to try to get some thoughts out from you on the topics that we talk about. And we want you to take part. The groups will be small enough so that you won't have to worry that you're in some large group, probably 6 to 10 people. And so it's going to be really important that you take part, because you will walk away today knowing a little bit more, and more importantly, come up with some sort of an action plan on what you will do and your club down the road. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to talk about 3 key ingredients to what we do every year. And One Rotary Summit was designed, if I'm understanding correct, I think it was Jennifer Jones, who is our Rotary International President nominee. And she may be on this call, I understand, at some point. And we hope that she is, and says hi to everybody. And what it was geared around was something regarding the 3-legged stool, and that you have three factions of Rotary. We have, of course, the foundation. We have, of course, the image, public image, membership. All of those work together to make us strong, because you can't have one without the other. And you'll be hearing from those people throughout the day. And I'll come back in a bit and tell you a little bit more about that. But we're going to start off talking about the one item that I was most concerned about at the beginning of COVID, is the number of members that we have. Would the number of members in our clubs suffer because of COVID, in the sense that they wouldn't feel engaged? In fact, when I went and I did my 63 visits, whether in person or online, that was the first question I always asked those boards of directors. I said, have you lost anybody to COVID? Not health-wise, but in terms of those not wanting to be there. And it's incredible the low number that we had of people who actually did not want to be involved because of that, and felt that it wasn't worth anything to them, so they walked away. More and more clubs I went to, they hadn't lost anybody. They lost people because of people with job change and that kind of thing, but they did not lose as a result of people not feeling like they wanted to be part of it. So we're going to begin, first of all, with the membership chair for the district. John Hill is that person. And John, I will turn it over to you and share your thoughts on what it is that we should be doing to make us all work as one.
It is a pleasure to be with you all. The irony of what Keith just said, the three-legged stool, I actually milk cows while I was in college, so I can definitely relate to teetering on that one leg. And I liken membership as the flour in the cake. I love red velvet cake, but yeah, you can't put the frosting on the cake until you add the ingredients. And the ingredient that I believe is essential is membership, that being the flour. And I too have had the pleasure and the honor and the privilege to speak with many clubs, mostly virtually. And I echo what Keith said regarding vibrant clubs. Now, there are some that are having difficulty. Obviously, COVID's not been easy for a lot of people. But I had the honor of speaking with one yesterday, and she said they have taken in 9 new members. More importantly, she is also doing some things to engage the club, to make it fun. And to me, that is the important ingredient that we need to revisit, as making sure that people receive encouragement, acknowledgement, enlightenment, and have fun. So for me, as your membership chair, the most important thing to me is revisiting why we are Rotarians and what are some of the things that really get us all fired up about Rotary. And so for me, it's promoting to get back to the basics. So they understand the history of Rotary, what Rotary is, what the expectations are, eliminating some of the misconceptions that people might have of Rotary. Not only are a new member, but also current members, because we have to change. Fluid, we are dynamic. And Rotary can be very vibrant. I'm very involved in a global grant. So I get it, I see it. And so it is my privilege to relate those experiences and find out what tools each club and each member needs to facilitate that. So I'm pretty excited about the future of Rotary in particular right now. I'm glad to be involved in this. By the way, our club is receiving 5 new members and 1 transfer here shortly. And we didn't hardly have to do anything to do it. It just was, like you say, organic. So I applaud all of you for joining us today, and I'm hoping that this will be a lot of fun and educational, and you'll go away with lots of tools to make your club better. Thank you.
You're muted, Keith.
There we go. Sorry about that. Thanks, John. The foundation is the one part that I know. I've been in Rotary for 38 years. I remember when I joined that I was one of those younger people that had a family that was growing. I didn't have a penny in my pocket. I couldn't give anything to anybody. But what I could give is I could give my time and I could do things. And as I got older and as my life continued, I was able to start to give. And what I learned is that the foundation is the blood of everything that we do. Without it, we can do nothing. We cannot do projects in our communities. We cannot do projects around the world. We can't do clean water projects. We can't do anything without money being given to the foundation. And the great thing is that we trust the foundation. So the second leg of the stool or the tripod is foundation. And with that, I would like to introduce our past district governor, Deb Cheney, who's talking to us from Oklahoma this morning. You're muted, just like me.
Hello. Thank you all for joining us today on the call for One Rotary Summit. My story this morning is how proud I am of this district and that we support the Rotary Foundation. You know, many of us shy away from bragging about what we do, how we serve, and how much we give to the foundation. But Rotary's motto of doing good in the world is about serving and giving to the Rotary Foundation. I think we should be proud of that. I think Rotary should be an exception to the no bragging rule. We should set an example and share that we give and that we serve the Rotary Foundation. I can't encourage others to give if we don't set the example and if we don't give ourselves. Personally, Chris and I give monthly. We have it set up on Rotary Direct to have it automatically come out of our account. You know, it doesn't matter if you have or give $5 a month or $500 a month. I just encourage you to make a commitment to give this year to the Rotary Foundation. You know, you all know the benefits of giving. Look at all those grants we were able to give out this year because of your gifts to the Rotary Foundation. He's going to be talking about this in a little bit, but each community is going to be getting a tent because of your generosity, because of what you do and what you give. Not to mention all the countries in the world who you all help when you give. And John gave an example of that. And I know how much he supports Haiti and all the other countries that our district supports. I am very proud to say that I am a member of District 6600 and that we have a very generous district. I also want to share that the three of us, John Hill, the membership chair, Sharon Travick, the public image chair, and we work together. As much as I support the foundation, I also support membership and public image. We are the biggest cheerleaders for each other, right, John? We're not in silos. We're all together. We work all together. We meet every Monday morning to share and discuss what we have going on that week and what we need from each other. And we discuss, you know, what are some things that you can do for membership or you can do for public image to help each other. We always leave the meeting with, what can I do for you? I can help do that. What do you need? Can I make a spreadsheet for you? We always work together and we always end it with, how can we help? You know, every year, the club president usually passes around a piece of paper or sends you an email and says, will you be on this committee? Will you be on that committee? And we always ask you or encourage you a membership chair, a public image chair, and a foundation chair for your clubs. There's a few reasons we do this. We are here to help you, John, Sharon, and I. We send out updates, and you will also receive emails from Rotary International if you are listed on our district database, DACDB. Like the three of us, we encourage you to work together, membership chair, foundation chair, and public image. We hope that you are not putting all of this on your club president. And I'm sure if there's a president-elect or club president sitting in the crowd today, that you're all shaking your head saying, yes, don't make me do it all. We want you to work together. Don't put it all on your president. And if you're on this call today and at the end of One Rotary Summit, you say, you know what? I really need to volunteer for my club. I think I could chair public image or even be on the public image committee to start with. Or I think I would like to become more involved in polio. Or I want to find out more about grants. What can I do to get involved? There's going to be time at the end for you to put up your hand and volunteer. Or when you go back to your clubs, you know, reach out to your president or your president-elect and consider volunteering. In addition to the goals of this One Rotary Summit, we hope that you make some new friends today, that you learn new ways to work with your club or work with other clubs. You're going to be all divided up with other clubs, and maybe you're going to make a new friend in another club, and you guys could do a project together or a grant together. Look for opportunities, discover new ways you can work with each other, and don't forget the three legs of the tripod. We all work together, We can't work together if one of our legs is too short and we're not helping each other. So thank you, Keith, for the opportunity to share a little bit about the foundation today, and I'll turn it back to you.
Yeah, and I have to comment on the fact that they meet every Monday morning. I am not at that meeting because of the work that I do, but they meet, and Jim Duke, my chief of staff, contacts me every Monday, late morning, early afternoon, and lets me know exactly what was discussed and things we have to do. I've been in clubs where the foundation chair of the club doesn't even know who the public image person is of the club, or doesn't even know who the foundation chair is of the club, or the membership. It's like nobody knows, no one's talking to each other. And think of that as being a tripod like this, and these legs are not attached. These legs aren't attached, but when these legs are all put together and they're all spread out and they're all at the same height, that tripod is strong. I could sit on this tripod because of that. Without that three parts being together, it doesn't work. So back in your clubs, it is crucial that you all work together. And like Deb said, you don't put it on the president. I've been the president of my club twice, and I've been there, and I know where you just are going from day to day, and you're worrying about who's going to be your speaker on Tuesday, and that's the most important thing that you're going to worry about. But the fact is, you should have other people behind you, and that's why I am so blessed this year, because I have got a team that is incredible. When someone says, I need something, like Deb said, they will work together to get it done. And as someone who tries to lead the group, you can't ask for anything better. And so that's really important. The third leg of the stool is making sure that the people out there in the community and in the world know who we are, and that we tend to make sure that we produce and we promote ourselves in the manner that we are. We are a group of people that want to make the world a better place. And so it's very important for us to make sure that those ads that you see, or that the things that we do, are all the same and they have the same common goal. And we are going to have, unfortunately, Sharon Travick, who is our image person, cannot be here today. So we have asked Laura Clary to join us. Laura is a past district governor from District 6580, which is Southern Indiana. And she has been the foundation chair, and she is also involved with Zone 30 as part of the Rotary Public Image Coordinator. And so we are pleased to have her here sitting in and helping us out here. So Laura, I will let you take it over.
Well, thank you so very much, Keith. And it is a pleasure for me to be here today with all of you. I mean, after all, I've got a balmy 57 degrees out, so woohoo, and snow is melting. So what I'm going to talk to you about today is the third leg of the stool, the one that is sometimes forgotten. And why in the world do we have to have public image? So here's what I want to talk to you about. I want you to find that volunteer in your club, maybe more than one volunteer, because if you think about it, I think you can see my phone right here. And I would say 99.9% of us do have a phone. And that's part of your public image. It doesn't have to be one person just taking all the pictures. Have fun with it. And if you need the resources are all right there from Rotary International. Rotary International has spent a huge amount of money to have all of these graphics and all of this information right here at your fingertips. So you can make an online presence with Pinterest, any different social media. You can do billboards, you can do Facebook, you can do all kinds of different things with the materials that Rotary has provided for you. And when you hear tell your story, You know, what do you think about when you hear tell your story? You know what your story is. You know what your club's story is. And as passionate as all of you are about your club, your community, and Rotary, the other people in your community may not know what all you do and don't share your passion. So why is that important? It's important because of the three-legged stool. Because if you share your story with your socials to show that you're having a great time, with your district grants to show the community, wow, this is what we do for you because we love this community. It paints a picture of passion. It paints a picture of caring. So that's your story. And you hear people of action. So you need to show pictures that people are working, they're doing something. Please do not take a picture from the back of the room of your Rotary Club with the back of everybody's head. We've had somebody do it in our club and they posted it, and somebody was sleeping. So their head was back like this. Boy, that was a really interesting speaker, right? So be very careful when you put together those pictures, but have fun with it. But here's an interesting part. If you go to the next slide, think about Rotary's been around for 116 years. We just had a wonderful birthday. Now, I know all these clubs that are here are so very proud of their heritage. But these are old signage. This is old signage. This is the old logo. It looks tired. It looks old. We need to change that. Next slide, please. We need to make sure that we have the brand new logos. Look at the International Friendship Garden in the Club of Evanston. That is our new Rotary brand that we've had for about 7 years. Continue, next page, please. You also have to make sure that the Rotary logo is prominent in your advertising, in all your posts. I see old logos, I don't see logos, I see logos where they really shouldn't be. Next slide, please. This is what you want to see. You want to see Thanksgiving. Let's celebrate and give thanks. There's the Rotary brand. But if you think about it like this, think of the Apple brand, think of Dell, think of Mercedes, think of Coca-Cola. They're known all around the world. A Mercedes brand, you don't have to put anything below it. You know what that means. Quality, you know what that means. So remember, Rotary International is international. Have that Rotary brand, keep it the same. That's a very simple thing to do. And I will tell you this, Sharon is a rock star with public image. And the fact that Sharon and Deb and John work together every single week to be the best they can be to help you out, I'm so impressed. I'm taking this back to my club, my district. I think this is great. But always remember, telling your story, it can be a personal story, but it's really about shouting out to your community and the world all the magnificent things that you do. Because if you show people what you do, you will get more members. So public image helps membership. It makes sure that these people want to be a part of you because you guys are having fun. You're making a difference in your community. And then once you have more members, they're going to want to give to the foundation. That's why public image is such a very important leg into that stool. And all three make a strong message, make a stronger club, a stronger district, and you can do more to help the world. Now, Sharon is always available to talk to you. You have Keith, who actually Keith is going to be joining our team in the zone with public image. And you also have Allison, and Allison is rejoining the public image team. We're always available to help you and guide you through what's going to make a difference in public image and what's going to make a difference in membership and foundation. Thank you, everyone. It's been a pleasure to be here today. Anything I can do, I'm a phone call and email away.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
You know, she talks about public image, and what a great segue, because sitting behind my head is a big box. There are 63 of these boxes that have been delivered, and as of yesterday at 2 a.m., the last of the boxes left the West Coast from the Easy Up company, and each of our 63 clubs will be receiving a 10-foot by 10-foot pop-up tent that has the new correct Rotary logo with District 6600 underneath it, and then the valance that will go around it, and on one side has the club name. And this is all part of a program that we put together with the We Are One grants. These tents are owned by the towns, not by the clubs. They are to be used by the United Way, by any other fundraiser that needs a tent at a park to use for something going on, maybe at the fair. And so they will come to our club and they'll say, hey, can we sign out the tent? And we'll do that. And that gets our name out there. We had the idea at the beginning of this year because of COVID, to give back to the people of our district, the people that have supported our fundraisers for all these years, because these were the people who were really in need of help in terms of just feeling like life was somewhat back to normal or will be back to normal. And so we put out a grant program where we offered $1,000 if they would match it with $2,000, so they have $3,000. All they had to do was to go through the grant process, which is not easy, and make sure that their project was going to be related to one of the seven areas of focus and was COVID-19 related. And historically, we have had 8 to 10 clubs a year put in for a grant. This year, we had 52 clubs come up with 48 projects. It was incredible, absolutely incredible. And the reason we did that, again, it's the foundation and image, is the fact that we wanted clubs to go through the grant process and understand what it was. And now we tell them we need to get the foundation up because that's where the money's coming from. So that's what we're doing. And so it's important that we make sure that people get that. I have had a very nice relationship with the president of Rotary since I first met him in October of 2019 in Fort Wayne. Holger Kanak is a wonderful man. From the moment I met him, he was a breath of fresh air. I actually, because of what I do, I got a chance to sit down and talk with him that weekend and record an interview. And then I got asked again to do a Zoom talk with him regarding One Rotary Summit. And we're going to watch that now. This was done, I must say, this was done in September of this last year, because there were areas that were using it starting in the fall. So it's a little dated in some of the things we say, but I think you'll hear exactly what he's trying to say. So as they say, roll the video.
We're talking with Rotary International President Holger Kanak, and he is joining us here at the One Rotary Summit. President Kanak, the last time I saw you was in San Diego at the International Assembly. It was in January of 2020. COVID had not started. There was an inkling within the hall of some things going on, but overall it wasn't. And you announced our theme for the year, Rotary Opens Opportunities. And did you ever in a million years think just 6 weeks later that the opportunities that have been presented to all of us are incredible?
Never ever, Keith, never ever. I thought about that, how this could be happen. And when I'm talking about change, how immediately change happened in the Rotary world. So that's still unbelievable.
How has these different opportunities that have presented itself, how have they come to be a part of what it is that we're doing? What kind of things are you seeing around the world as being then opportunities that are brand new?
You know, these, especially those opportunities for meeting. So we are definitely, if I think about Mark Maloney's theme, we are definitely connecting the world right now. So an interview like this here, or stepping into a Rotary Club meeting in your district, what happens already. So this is really new, and this definitely opens opportunities for us, for Rotarians, to connect the world much better than before.
Do you see these as being long-term changes once a vaccine is found and we get back to whatever that new normal is?
That's what I hope. I really hope that this will be also the new normal in Rotary. And I'm asking our Rotarians, let's keep all the good things we are learning right now through virtual meetings, and not just do the old things just virtual. Let's also develop new things, how to connect and how to change our organization.
Let's talk about the theme of One Rotary Summit has always been what we call that old three-legged stool of membership, foundation, and public image. Give us your thoughts about membership and service as it works through the Rotary Foundation.
You know, if you include public image here, it's I think that's an easy circle then. As better our public awareness is, our image, as more members we are able to gain. And as more members we have, so we can do more and better service. And more and better service, again, is related with a better public image. I think this is really like a circle where we can step on every stage, at least, to become a better organization and a more effective organization.
How do we pass that on to the people in our clubs that these are all tied together, and that we need to work with these each year in concert with each other?
You know, for me, one of the most important things is for our members, gaining members, but especially also retaining members. I think to be a proud Rotarian, you have to be proud of your organization. And if you can read in newspapers and in media how great your organization is, and not just talking about that, but you can see the results of our service firsthand, I think that really makes me, when I see all the service, makes me as a Rotarian proud being part and being a member of this organization. I think this is for me the key to retain membership through service.
You had mentioned to me once when we were talking that when we select a new member for a club, that you want to make sure that member is good for your club, but that you are right for them too. What did you mean by that?
You know, a club is a strong club if it's a group of friends. Fellowship is one of our core values. You are much more effective. And if you feel also welcome as a new members among a group of friends, that's very simple. So there must be a good fit between the club members, the existing club members, and the new member. And so that's for me pretty easy. If you feel welcome, then we will stay in that club and you will be active in service.
How do we instill in new members that may be younger, don't have a lot of income necessarily, but they have the will to do service? How do we convince them that giving to the Rotary Foundation is so important to feed that lifeblood of all the good that we do in the world?
Thank you for that question. But I think especially for Rotaractors and young Rotarians with not high income, this is the opportunity to serve with hands-on projects. So if there are others in the club, for them it's easier to contribute money, but all the younger people, they are contributing with their work. And I think when they are becoming older, and so they are stepping in to be donors to the Rotary Foundation. I think that's a process, but it starts with hand-on projects.
We have so many people that are here at the summit from all over our zones. What closing comments do you have about that connection? Sometimes it's hard to instill that in people that are attending this for the first time, that public image, membership, foundation, they are just intertwined. And now with the theme of the amount of opportunities that are out there in this weird world that we have, how is it that we connect it all?
For me, the most important word in Rotary is together. Together, we are really able to achieve everything. And Rotary opens opportunities, of course, for us, because it gives us the opportunity for service, living a more meaningful life, the opportunity for personal growth, and for a meaningful life, as I said. And you become a project manager while during our service work. You become an event manager if you plan fundraisers, and I think you will raise your ability in public speaking. So Rotary really opens opportunities for us, and the most important thing: personal growth, service, and the most important word is, for me, together. Together we are able to achieve nearly everything.
Thank you, President Holger Canuck, for taking time to talk to all the members that are here at this summit.
I thank you, and never forget, Rotary has also to be fun. Thank you very much.
You're muted, Keith.
There we go. Is that better? Can you hear me? Okay. Thank you very much for seeing that. He is such a wonderful man, and his wife Suzanne is just as wonderful. And what a shame that he has been thrown into this year like all of us. He would have been able to do some great things, but he is exactly what we need at this time during this year. One of the things I want to make mention, first of all, there will be no actual breaks that we're going to have during this morning. If you feel that you have to get up and go to the restroom or let the dog out or whatever you're doing, just put yourself on mute, take the video off, and just walk away and then come back whenever you can. And feel free to do that throughout the morning, but there will not be any actual breaks. I want to thank a person. When we started doing Zoom calls and we started trying to share screens and play videos, it's tough because you got to be a person with about 10 different hands and know all of the tech stuff. We have a person that we brought in specifically for today to help out. We of course have on our district, we of course have then Mindy, who's helping us, but we have brought in Gloria Mink. Gloria is from Pine River, Minnesota. She's from District 5580, and she is the district administrator there. And we have brought her because she does this a lot for other clubs. And so thank you very much, Gloria, for making this smooth for us. It's because your real talent's going to come in just a few moments, because we're going to start to spread out into different groups here. And that's where you see the power of Zoom and the things that we can do. So when you see her pop up on the screen again towards the end, make sure you say thank you. Okay, what we're going to do now is we are going to break into groups. And in the past, when we did these, they were for fairly long periods of time, about 75 minutes. We're not obviously going to do that. Our breakouts will be at 20 minutes each. We're going to do 3 of those. And what we're going to do is, with the magic of what we do with Zoom, you will all of a sudden drop into a room of people. Someone will be in that room who will make sure that you're following the questions that we ask, and a question or 2 or 3 will be posed. And we want you to come up with some ideas and share those ideas with each other. Don't hold back. This is the real joy of this event, is actually being able to share with other folks. So just so you know, the first questions are going to be about things related to how COVID-19 and this whole last year has affected your club. So with that, I will ask Gloria to make the magic wand go, and we're gonna go away to different groups.
All right, I will go ahead and open all the rooms now. You will see a prompt on your screen that will say you can join the room. You just click on that.
Gloria, can we tell if everyone's back?
Yes, everyone is back in the main.
Okay, good. Okay, let's open it up for a little discussion on each of you. If you want to give a little bit of a rundown on what your group talked about, and in no particular order. So whoever was the scribe for each of the groups, if they could just kind of chime in on what it is that your group talked about.
I'll go first. I'm Dina from Lorraine. So we had 7 people in our group, and basically, we were kind of all over the place. Some had good attendance, some did not on Zoom. We talked about having engaging speakers. I like what the person from Indiana had mentioned about every speaker, you could actually ask if they would be a Rotarian, which could increase. I think there was only one person in the group that went backwards in the membership. I think everyone else actually gained. So I don't think it's been that bad. Some people love Zoom and most people don't.
Really?
A lot of it is age also. A lot of older members do not want to be using technology. And I think it's difficult, the public image. Some people tape their Zoom meetings and posted it, and some people did online fundraisers. Some people did some service projects where they actually took pictures and put things on Zoom. So, they were trying to have some kind of public image, even though we weren't doing a lot out in the public. And I think they wanted definitely to have more interesting and engaging presenters, and still continue to do service projects. Anybody else in our group, you can add to it, but a lot of you all said the same thing, and I was writing the same thing over and over. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right. Thank you very much for doing that. Janina, since you were the scribe.
Barb was the scribe.
Oh, Barb was the scribe.
Barb was the scribe.
Barb,
Yep, I was the scribe. So actually, with Keith in the group and Maris, I heard mostly from Janina from Toledo, and they obviously have done really well with successful meetings that are recorded, that are part of an archive, which means anyone could borrow them. But some meaningful committee work, international as well as local, for young children, a lot of focus on the water, lead in the water. So advances are still being made even during this difficult time. I think everyone spoke about the creativity that has been demonstrated this whole year in engaging members, even though we were not together. And most have clearly been meeting virtually. Yes, we've seen reduced participation, because there are people who, that's just not their thing. But we've also seen some success with the hybrid meetings and wonder if that's going to continue as another way to enhance people's opportunity to participate, even if, you know, it's not the ideal, it's still a way to engage our members. But I think people were feeling good about the local emphasis with projects being shared. Supporting restaurants was one Oberlin did. Again, the emphasis being how does the community's need, how has it been manifested this last year, and discovering by putting that emphasis on local, maybe things you might not otherwise have done. So yes, it's been a different year. It's been reduced participation, but not necessarily lost, maybe not the gains that we would have hoped for in a normal year, but not a loss that has been significant, which is all good.
Okay.
We also love the introduction with Holger in terms of he emphasized and people feeling like making any meeting, whether it's virtual or not, fun, recognizing we can do things from afar now. We don't have to stay local because you can take your meeting virtually anywhere. I think Toledo had a lot of examples of that. So I think we have some good discussion.
And you could also take your speaker, be able to walk themselves through their business and show you things that you would see. So do that. We have a comment.
I'll give a plug on that. Melanie Satterfield, who's a dentist, and she's on this morning, gave us a tour, or the company she uses to make crowns. And it starts with Erie. I thought we were getting a tour of Erie, PA. My mistake. It was actually a tour of a business, and we learned about the computer technology that is used in dentistry. Just amazing. So things that we would not have probably had time to do.
Okay, I believe that Jody has her hand up. Jody, what is your question? Or
Hi. Oh, no. I'm ready to report out for our group.
Good,
whenever.
perfect. Excellent.
Are we?
Yep.
Are you ready for me?
Yep,
Okay, cool.
you're on.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, so I was with Angelica, Shirley, and Tony. Unfortunately, we also had Robin in our group, but that person was having technical difficulties, couldn't get their mic unmuted, and so ultimately had to leave our group. But I think a lot like what Dina and Barb have already said, it seems like at least in our group, a lot of members have adapted to the technology, doing Zoom meetings, some hybrid meetings, working in some social events, socially distanced or virtual, depending on, obviously, I think the probably level of risk at the time. And in addition to some good fundraising, although maybe it has been brought in a fraction of what past fundraising was able to do, but I'm with the Elyria Club, and we actually did a nice socially distanced fundraising event that was successful, and also a nice way to kind of touch base with the community. Oberlin's club did a really nice job of highlighting a community event, highlighting local restaurants on a weekly basis and putting a Rotary sign out for the business that was being spotlighted, and then encouraging patrons to, frequent those businesses. So that was a really nice partnership. And I think all three of us agreed that, public relations and membership were probably pieces of the three-legged stool that we would all be most interested in.
Okay, thank you very much. Jim Duke, you are up.
Well, not only was I the facilitator, I just thought it'd be easier for me to scribe as well, so that's what I did. So everybody really enjoyed the video by Holger. So everybody really enjoyed that, especially the message where giving starts with service. So that came through loud and clear. And everybody really was enthusiastic about that public image presentation. Everybody was, a lot of comments about that, about the branding. Everybody thought that was just a great presentation about the public image. And also the grants, as far as the foundation presentation and the grant process and what we're doing with grants, everybody was really, really enthusiastic about that as well. So as far as, how clubs are doing during COVID, all the clubs are either doing virtual or some sort of hybrid meeting. And it was also mentioned, because we're doing a virtual hybrid, that your speakers can come from anywhere. I know one speaker came from Uganda. We had a speaker come from Alaska. So you're not really tied down to your local area where you can get your speakers from. You can go basically anywhere in the world. And obviously there's clubs that are still doing fundraisers, which is good. I know Keith, you benefited from the Vermilion fundraiser here just recently. So all in all, during our breakout, clubs are still engaged. We're still hanging in there, and things are going along pretty good.
Okay, thank you. How many groups were there? I was trying to figure out if we've gotten everybody. Has everyone spoken?
I gotta go.
Oh, okay.
So our group covered Waterville, Oberlin, St. Mary's, Ashland, Loudonville, Mansfield, and Sandusky. We have 116 years of Rotary service in our group. As far as activities, very similar reports, about 50 to 70% club attendance, all via Zoom. Not really a lot of new members, I don't think, really focused on maintaining. I'm sorry, Ashland has gained some new members. Looking at the opportunity to rethink the club and what was important, and so coordinating with another group, such as for Tom, Ashland, Leadership Ashland. And going back to, I was kind of bummed out because my goal in life as president-elect of the Mansfield Club was to cover a lot of miles. And so I wrote down Uganda and Alaska. Our group had Gettysburg National Park, Mardi Gras from New Orleans, Hawaii and the DoD POWMIA Research Lab, Mansfield, UK was one. So I've got to step up my game for Uganda and Alaska, and so that we can get the Miles Award. So museums and things like that. I think a lot of it is very similar. And yes, we talked a lot about press. Brian with Loudonville meeting summary published in the local newspaper each week, and then also just opening up the Zoom links for anyone from the community to join in and participate. Did I cover everything, my fine group?
They're not saying anything, so I assume you did.
Well, my group worked me over pretty hard, so I was the scribe and the facilitator. So I'll hop in for group 4. The merry band was Lorena from Perrysburg, and Mindy, who we referenced already, from Elyria, the Zoom boss, and Lauren Dill from North Coast. And I'm Ken Robinson from the E Club. The things that really resonated is that for some, the three-legged stool was an analogy they weren't familiar with, so they really appreciated that. Other sort of painting a word picture would be things like people of action. How do you use your logos and how do you use your pictures to showcase your diversity? But people of action resonated quite a bit. And then the other thing that I would connect on the group's behalf would be the value of the We Are One grants, and that gave clubs an opportunity to do something meaningful. So some clubs, related to the grant or not, fed essential workers at a hospital. Others handed out meals with other service organizations to serve and show presence. And I think the service and showing presence is really important because it demonstrates relevance and that we're still in the community and in the game. The clubs have typically gone now to all virtual meetings, which for me in the E Club is normal because our meetings are all online anyhow. So that's how we've always lived our lives. But I think the grants helped spark ideas without having to overthink a thing, to be present, to have the support of the district, to make a service contribution in a space that they can then turn around and promote in their local media and their social media. And I think that's probably the high notes from that group. A lot of fun to be with that crowd. Thank you, Keith.
Okay, thanks, Ken. Any other groups that have not chimed in yet?
Melanie's in there, and then I have to go, Keith.
Okay.
And John.
So go ahead, Melanie.
All right, so our group was a very well-seasoned group of members. We had Molly Lofton as the facilitator, Mary Lynn, Jan Nape, and Bob Rule. And we mainly talked about how the silver lining of COVID was being able to get more diverse programs Another silver lining is that people who typically don't get to go to our meetings were maybe able to, or able to catch up and do makeups, because sometimes the meetings can be taped. We talked about getting new members involved at a deeper level. And one of the members suggested that maybe we could combine clubs to get a scholarship to send the new members to like an innuendo conference, so that they can really see what Rotary does and how it works, and that would get them more involved. We also talked about how the different clubs, some had food drives, Oberlin helped the restaurants. Some of the clubs have had Zoom meetings a little bit earlier or a little bit later, like a half an hour before the meeting started or a half an hour after, just so that the members could catch up and see how everyone was doing. And we decided that yes, Rotary is a very social club, but we do still have to go back to the three legs of the stool. And we feel that meeting in person is the best, but we have all done a great job with making these Zoom meetings work for us. And I think that's about it.
Okay.
Thanks, Melanie. Good job.
All right, Diana.
All right, thanks, Keith. Well, we had members from Elyria, Findlay, Tiffin, Waterville, Sandusky, and Bryan in our group. And we really tried to focus, a lot of what we talked about has been said, the positive aspects and what will we keep moving forward? How will this change Rotary? How will this create more opportunities? So I just want to plant a seed. A lot of people have mentioned some of the great programs that you're able to bring in. You're not limited just to people who can be present in your community on a certain day and time because of travel, but would there be a way for us as a district to plant a seed to have like a share group, some way to not record like the presentation, but keep a record of these great people and organizations that are providing these programs to each separate club, and then be able to have the contact information so that all of us in the district could benefit. We've all had that time when a speaker that was supposed to be there doesn't show up, and maybe we could have another resource. So
You're talking about a speakers bureau, I guess.
Yeah.
But there is one that does exist on DAC-DB. However,
Okay.
you have to put it in. But what you're talking about is one step further, is that many clubs record their speaker, and to be able to pull a speaker's recording from another club and to be able to show that, which is I think, a great idea.
It just provides us with a lot more flexibility and gives our presidents tools and a toolbox. And anytime we can do that, I think that that's a great thing.
I think Ken has a note here. Ken, you want to chime in real quickly about what you have with the E-Club that people can use?
Sure. Let me get my volume back on here. Anybody's always welcome to surf on over to the E-Club, and if you log on there and click attend a meeting, you're going to get to the repository of all of our programs that goes back since the club was chartered 4 or 5 years ago. And it's always okay to click that link and play it as if it was your program. So if you're doing a hybrid meeting, or even if we're back in real time and all of a sudden it's speaker has flat tire on the turnpike, you hop onto that. You can find a program that's interesting to you and play that. And you would and you can play that. You don't have to fill out the makeup piece or anything like that. It doesn't cost anybody a dime, but that's available for anybody at any time. And we'd love to have folks take advantage of it.
Thank you. All right, we have John Hill's going to speak, and then Lee Peters, I think, is the last one. And then we'll go on to our next breakout. John?
Okay, thank you. There were actually two things other than what has been discussed, but there are two things probably most compelling. That being that we all felt like the One Rotary We Are One project opportunity or grant project was really, really formative to get members or some members engaged. We all thought that was a really, really good opportunity. We also realized that in many respects, all the other service organizations have gone dormant. And this was a really good opportunity to utilize the local newspaper or Facebook or whatever would be to beat our drum about Rotary. We all felt like that was really good. And the other thing compelling is we realized that being the Rotary clubs of St. Mary's and Vermillion, that was the extent of our group, was that we need to update our signs at the entrance to our cities.
Okay. Lee Peters, you're up.
Yeah, no, I just had to take off mute. No, I think the couple of things that came out of our group, Zoom has actually been a great way of bringing in members that haven't participated for a while. So a number of clubs have re-engaged some members, and how do we continue that? And again, that opportunity of bringing in national or even your regional speakers to our programs. And I think the other highlight of it was, how do we make sure that we continue to emphasize that three-legged stool concept, the public image, membership, and foundation, not only at the district level, but at the club level. So I think those are the two big takeaways from our group.
Okay, thanks very much. Let me just say, when we break out into the next session, I'm using the chat box to be able to tell who's coming up next. So whoever is going to speak for your group, make sure that you text me, and then I'll be calling people in order as we go up. That makes it a whole lot easier. And I just want to say, this is why this event is always so good, because people are able to sit around and talk about things, and in person, it of course is even better. But just this is great to hear some feedback from some folks. Okay, what we're going to be doing now is we're going to be breaking out again, and this time the subject is going to be opportunity. And there's a number of questions that the folks that are leading your group will be asking. These will be different groups, so it's sort of like the luck of the draw who you're going to be with. So as we used to say in the game shows, we'll put you in the silent room, and then we'll have you back out on like the newlywed game to answer the questions. So let's go ahead, Gloria, and break them out, and we'll see you back here in about 20 minutes.
All right, I'm going to open all the rooms. You will all be experts at.
All right, looks like everybody's back, and we will begin. Let's see, I'm going to go to, I love the way you guys did this. Perfect. It's just the way I was hoping. All right, we'll start with Lisa, who is the first one on the list here. Lisa, go ahead and report for I think you were in group 3.
Hey, everyone. Yeah, we were group 3. We had Oak Harbor, Mansfield, the wonderful state of Indiana, and the Sandusky Club, and then Tiffin / the district. Well, we decided that even though during COVID-19, we had many opportunities that were opened up for us. Mainly, we had a couple people that are new to their communities, and not only were they new to their communities, but they were new to new Rotary clubs. And even one only took 2 meetings for her to show up and come to the meetings, and she already became president-elect. So I kudos to Oak Harbor Club for recruiting her for that. That's awesome. So basically, we're just talking about how important Rotary is to us as individuals, and how much it just shows how much we need each other during this, and how much our clubs need each other, and how much our communities need us. So people were able to still do service projects, food drives, and other new fundraising ideas, taking it as for new leadership roles. So where there might be some people that have kind of hung down a little bit in the reins, and they stepped up, and allowing them to do that without micromanaging them, and just letting them take the reins. So basically our group just discussed that there were a lot of like Melanie said before, silver linings, and lots of new windows of opportunity.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, next up, Barb Thomas is going to report for her group. Barb?
Yeah, well, I would say that we definitely saw clubs, because other clubs were dormant, being able to bring more into the public eye. more visible what they were doing, those projects they could do, and interest by the public. So that's a great opportunity to have taken advantage of. One other club, Bowling Green, is wanting to grow younger membership. And so they're going to capitalize, hopefully in this next year, even more on being able to bring the Rotaract members in. Again, building that pipeline into Rotary. A good deal of our conversation was on the fact that the hybrid meetings really are a future. Many people really prefer doing it virtually. We don't want to lose that membership that have now come to expect it and actually enjoy it. While the other members may really want to meet in person, we're going to have to invest in the dollars necessary to get the right equipment so that we can do them well. And that may mean new microphones, another laptop, the kind of things that could make a successful meeting. And secondly, that investment is important, but recognizing that we want to grow Rotary. And as people say, this is the best way I can participate, whether they're 90 years old or actually 28 and can't leave their office. If we can capitalize on, again, helping people find the best way to participate in Rotary, we only have to gain. So emphasize roles with IT, meaning more training, more than just one member or two helping with the technology. That's critical because you can't do it by one person.
Very good. Thank you, Barb. Let's go to Dr. Melanie Satterfield for her group.
Oh, I'm just Melanie today.
Just
But anyway, Ken was our great facilitator, and we talked about the opportunities that our club offered members. And we decided that it was meeting others in our community, allowing fundraising, outdoor activities, friendship, fellowship, fun, networking, and we used the words magical and good karma, which I thought was pretty fun. We also talked about professionally how Rotary helps you with the networking and how people see what you do in the community and maybe want to be part of it too. We also talked about how the entire family gets involved with Rotary Youth Exchange, Rotaract, Interact, certainly affected my own family. Again, always going back to giving back to the community. Mary told a story about how someone was a huge influence on her by wearing a Rotary pin, introducing her to service, building relationships, and being involved with service. And we put a lot of emphasis on those three legs, knowing who they are in our clubs. And we realized that, do any of us really know who our membership leg is and who the foundation leg is and the marketing leg is? And I think we all do need to do a little more work on that. That's about it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is Tony Cuevas, I believe, is speaking for his group.
Yes, I am. Yes, you know what I like to do really is reiterate what I've been doing, because it sounds like the opportunities are the same for all the clubs. And I don't care if you're a big club like Lima or a small club like Loudonville, which I had members from both clubs. Networking, friendship, family, clubs become family members, and the opportunities ranged from trying to keep your fellow members engaged, keeping your clubs active, and with in the presence of COVID, and at the same time, it's not just what you're giving to your club, but what you're getting back from your club by having the opportunity to do that. The notes that I have here are just the same thing what I'm hearing from everybody else. We'll just go with that. But I did say I had two members, Deb Cheney and Bob Reel, both the travel and the amount of people that they have met through Rotary, the opportunities from just becoming friends internationally with all the travel they've done has been great to both of them. So that's it.
Okay, thanks, Tony. I will say the same thing. When you get to the position that a lot of us have been in, we meet so many people around the world. I have very good friends literally in every corner of this planet. And I'm just amazed at what has been done because of this. All right, let's turn it over to Tom Repke. Tom? Is Tom there? Okay, well, we'll move on.
There we go. Sorry, I was
There we
muted.
go. There we go,
Sorry.
Tom.
Yeah, Larry and Mommy and Vermilion were part of our conversation, and I think like Mindy is a younger member of the club, and I think she talked about the idea of local service, just the opportunity for her to plug in as a young professional into her community. And for me, I think some of our hallmark programs like Mesa. We've been able to use that to leverage inviting others who were not Rotarians to be part of our mission, ride the bike, although we didn't do that this year, or even the Rotary Youth Exchange, what that brings. I mean, for our family, 33 years of friendship with a family out of Brazil who's a father, and then his brother 10 years later, and then the father's daughter 22 years later came to visit. But the idea that, and I thought Minnie used a great word, she talked about the blessing of being in the room with folks who have deep skills, networking skills, and how as a young professional, there's a sage, if you will, in her club. It's in a similar industry that's been a real value of a mentor to her. And then also the idea of just being able to invite people in. And we think we really need more service projects specifically for our younger folks. And so I think, kudos off for the tent, because that's a great way for building something into the community that we can offer if we can't offer volunteers. But even in our community, we've been able to, a group of our folks have worked to help administer as greeters for the vaccines as they were offered in our local hospital.
Is that it? Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
That's enough. That's good. Very good. Thanks very much, Tom. All right, next up is Mimi Johnston from the Tiffin Club, Group 2.
Hey, everybody. I admitted to my group that I took advantage of the time between last two breakout groups to actually get out of my pajamas and comb my hair. So I'm now here full time. Okay, so I had Angelica, Jim, and Shirley, and Angelica did a great job of chairing this group. We talked about that, how as much as technology has been a great way for us to be able to continue our meetings, how critical socialization is. It's so important to keep fellowship and bring it back to our Rotary clubs. We need to be able to reach out to each other and make an effort to join in person. We talked about how it's easy to put yourself on a black screen and not really be a part of the meeting, to just sort of have it in the background. And yet we as Rotarians need to make the effort and make a commitment to be there for each other. That the speakers aren't just speaking to a sea of names over black. So we talked about how the breakout room is a good model for smaller groups, that a buddy system, if you have a member who doesn't feel comfortable, you can work with them, help them out with their technology. Let me go back up just for a second. Yeah, to remind each other and encourage each other to attend the meetings. I think it's to feel that it's important for you to be there, to help other people feel that it's important to be there. And you can do that with your current membership, but you can also do that in bringing new people in, to bring in visitors, because it's easy enough to do that with Zoom. You get a different perspective through this hybrid or through this Zoom time. We've really had an opportunity to see not just our local Rotary clubs, but what's happening in the district, and then what's happening internationally. We've learned about Uniendo. I mean, we just get to see so many different things through this last year that we wouldn't have been able to necessarily see in a small local group. So I think there are lots and lots of advantages, but we need to make a conscious effort to connect.
Thank you, Mimi. Your last point, what you just said, is so important. A lot of people don't realize that if they want to do something more, they have to take that first step. It's not like we're going to come and grab you and say, now we want you to do this. If you have an interest in learning more about what goes on at the district level, the zone level, that you have to make that first step and say that you want to learn it, and then we'll be happy to take you on that trip. All right, next up is going to be, I think Tony already spoke. So I think Ann Devine is speaking for Lee's group. Ann, room 6.
Thank you, Keith. I get to follow my sister Mimi, who I actually recruited to join Rotary, so happy to do that. We had Sandusky, Elyria, Waterville, myself from Tiffin, and our facilitator Lee from Ashland. We talked about the opportunities to encourage participation of new members specifically by getting on boards, by encouraging the new members to join boards and committees. It helps them to meet some new people that they may not otherwise have done. Specifically, when you go to Rotary meetings and people tend to sit at the same tables every week and talk to the same people. You know, one opportunity we talked about is how do you get them to encourage members to get to know other members at your meetings? Well, give them chips, which we used to do in Tiffin once a month. We would, when they walk in the door, they would pick a chip and that's the table you're going to sit at this week. Somebody else talked about giving numbers, or somebody else said, well, we're just going to have the meeting this week is going to be, everyone's going to change the table and you're going to sit by somebody you don't know and you're going to get to know people at that table. That could be your meeting. We talked about how just organically Rotary gives opportunities, whether to meet new friends. I've got a wonderful group of girlfriends I've met through Rotary. We've dined together, we've traveled together. And they're some of the best friends I've made in my entire life are through Rotary. And professionally, I've met, and many other Rotarians have made professional relationships. We talked about opportunities for other members is to maybe spotlight a member business as a presentation each week. So and I think we talked about this in the last one, to reach out to members and spotlight their business, give them the opportunity to give a presentation. We talked about opportunities for international projects, and Keith, you went to Honduras and how you came back and gave our group a presentation about how that was so meaningful to you and the others who took that trip. And last thing we talked about was maybe outside of Rotary Club meetings, what could be done within Rotary Club meetings is to do some type of a training, either on Facebook Live or something that maybe it's over a couple weeks, whether it's leadership development or communication skills, and participating with a local university professor who's able to do that. Maybe you open that up to the community, get them to know a little bit more about opportunities through Rotary. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mimi. Oh, thank you, Ann. All right, let's see. I think Maris, past district governor, is going to be speaking for John Hill's group.
Absolutely. We had in our group Elyria, North Baltimore, Sandusky, Toledo, and Vermilion. So a wide variety of sizes and actually a wide variety of the scope of each club. I do want to mention one thing because the mention was of loving travel, which came up in our discussions as well. But a reminder that even if you're not a district leader or whatever, you can always go to an international convention or some of these other opportunities, or when you're traveling, stop by and see a Rotary Club, you know, when you're off around the world. International did come up, and it's interesting. One of the clubs that was in our group has a grant for young members who want to travel internationally, that they can get a portion of dollars if they participate in an international grant. Now think about that. A lot of people want to do these international grants and travel, but maybe personally they're young in their profession and they can't afford it. And here's a club that's offering almost like a scholarship to be able to participate in that, just a few extra dollars to help. Community servant, community service came up a lot in the discussion. People that almost look like a continuation of when they were in college. They were active in community servant type organizations and now have an organization like Rotary, and that's the message that they share probably the most. I think a good point, it goes back to the stool, was that one of our participants talked about documenting. It doesn't happen if you don't document it. You know, if you don't tell the story, it's probably not happening because people aren't going to know. And so that really struck a chord with me because, you know, how many people really don't know the kind of things that Rotary still did during this pandemic when they turned on a dime. and made things happen. And those stories are the things like taking care of local businesses. So the extension of where some were talking about how it really is a networking organization and professionals meet professionals, and that part was good. The other side to that was when the pandemic hit, the clubs helped local businesses, and because of their connections and support for those local businesses, not were they just programs, but they were almost the donations and the community service and this community support that they did were through those local businesses, and that was something that would be hoped to be continued. And then last but not least, just that hope or that message came out of wanting to be sure that the social things that kind of happen on Zoom that seemed to work, and the fact that it didn't have to always be just a meeting, a weekly meeting, and those extra ways of having fun, that hopefully would be continued once we go back to meeting in a more traditional matter. Hopefully I got it all, because it was really a vibrant group, which was so enjoyed. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Maris. I think we have one more group, and that's Group 8, and Molly Lofton or Molly Carver is going to be speaking for them. I'm not sure which
It would
Molly.
be the Lofton.
Okay, Molly Lofton.
So I was fortunate to be with the Vermilion Club. Karen and I were kind of the rural districts out of the rest were from the Toledo area with Perrysburg, Sylvania, and Toledo Club. And with that, I had the chance to meet the great and powerful Walter McGee, one of the biggest clubs in the country. And he shared a lot of insight about how the Toledo Club makes it happen. And his feel is he hopes Zoom is forever because of the people that can be reached and can be included in with this, and some of the speakers and things that they have coming up. But remembering the public image side of it, including, and luckily in Toledo, the news stations and radios and things like that can also help to provide the public image for Rotary. Karen from Vermilion talked about being brand new to Vermilion and not knowing anybody, but it was through Rotary, and she knew someone that was in Rotary, and that's how she got involved in the city of Vermilion, and then from that was able to piggyback that to do some service club projects and things like that, and to really get involved. Walter mentioned the need for a big piece that he feels missing in Rotary is the inclusion piece of it, to make sure that we are including people of color as, to include their culture and things, not just all the white faces we see, but to make sure that we're reaching out and including everyone as part of our story. So that was it from Group 8, and ditto on what everybody else said.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, and one more, I think Dina is going to report as well. Yep. There's the last one.
Yep. So one of the things that came out with us was that it still gave people an opportunity to work and still participate, which didn't always happen before. With the Zoom, we had the opportunity to actually continue our work and participate. The other thing I wanted to point out was that I only had 2 people in my group, one from St. Mary's and one from North Coast, besides myself. So they also continued to do fundraising at their meetings, which I was amazed that they still did Happy Bucks and they did Queen of Hearts that they actually did every week, which I was surprised because I didn't know you could continue to do that every week. But they actually billed them, or they just paid online, either using Venmo or a credit card. So because it was still a need for people to bring in money, which is used for many things, whether it's scholarships or whatever. And then it still had opportunity to do online fundraising. That was still used a lot.
And I think people too still want to share good news about what's going on in their life. Mm-hmm. And Happy Bucks are still a big thing.
Right, you're right.
So excellent. Thank you, Dina. Okay, well, we are just about to go to our last break. And for this last one, we're going to talk about how our clubs inspire members to do other things to give to the foundation, to do other ways of helping the foundation grow. Because as we've been talking about the tent project, we've been talking about the We Are One, we're talking about water and sanitation in Honduras, and all the things that we do around the world. As I said earlier, none of this goes anywhere without money coming into the foundation. But we are also well aware that there are people that don't necessarily have the money to give. There are so many different ways that you can do that. One of the things that you're going to find out over the next 5 months that I have left is that we're going to really start to, again, back to the basics, begin to educate people that are in clubs on the foundation, the basics of the foundation, because a lot of people have no idea how the foundation works. We went into a little over, just under maybe a $3,000 investment in changing the district website over the last year, where you actually can go onto the Rotary District 6600.org website and actually go to the foundation tab, and you can give there. You don't have to go anyplace else. And every fund is explained as to what they are. So that's going to be real important. You're going to hear more about that. But right now, if Gloria, if you could get us together, because we're also going to talk in this last section about how we can be active within our clubs as far as a public image. And then finally, what's in it for me? What are you going to take out of this whole thing? And then we'll wrap it all back up here in 20 minutes. So let's move on to our clubs. All right, we'll wait till everyone gets back and then we'll roll through. We are right on time. Perfect. Guys, has this been good for all of you? Do you like it? You enjoyed it?
Absolutely.
This may be
Yes,
the way
yes.
to do this forever. You have to stay on schedule, otherwise the Zoom boss sends you into hyperspace. There's
There you
discipline like I've never seen before with Rotarians on this one.
Gloria, thank you, Gloria. It's been a great job.
Thank
Terrific.
you, Mindy. Thank you, Mindy, too.
Mindy.
And for all of you I didn't get to chat with, hello. I mean, there's people on here that were not in breakout rooms, so hi to all of you.
So you weren't in a breakout room, Mary?
Oh, I was, but not with everybody. So
Oh,
there's
yeah.
people on this screen that I did not engage with at all. So just saying hello to them.
Every time I think of Gloria, I want to go Gloria, Gloria, Gloria.
I tend to do that to people. They just want to sing. Everyone is back in the main session now.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you, everyone, for taking part in that last session. We're going to run through the groups real quick and see some of the comments, because that's really the heart of the matter, as Don Henley once sang. That is important to make sure that we know about the foundation. So we will begin with, let me look here. I will start with Cindy Wood.
Okay, so there were 4 of us in our group from Indiana, Canfield, Youngstown area, and Vermillion. I was in the company of 3 district governors / assistant district governors. So I have, miles to walk before I sleep. As far as foundation work and engaging, all 3 of you had wonderful participation with your foundation giving. I want to say using the points match system, and then probably close to 100% just about, or close to it, for the foundation. It was noted the importance of the skill builder and the grant writing that Keith led this year for all of the club participation before an international grant, and that the international grant hugely impactful, but it does have some work behind it. Some of the projects, in particular, I did make a note for the classroom libraries in Vietnam. The Canfield area or district is working on their 3rd classroom library. And then just the importance of sharing those impact stories. And one impact story was the ability to share about someone who was 23 years old and through a grant process, it had been the first time that she had actually heard any sound whatsoever. And then also I have to give a shout out to my Mesa role model, Bob Rail in Lima.
Bob's gotten a lot of shout outs today, but he keeps his mic muted during these. Okay, next. Thank you very much, Cindy. We appreciate it. Let us go to the next group, and that will be, let's see. Let's go to Diana. Oh, she had to let her dog out quick, it says. Okay, then let's jump and go to Brian Hartzell for group 4.
Okay. Our group 4 was represented by the E-Club, the clubs in Elyria, Tiffin, Lorraine, and Loudonville.
Sorry.
Always an editorial voice in the background. Basically about foundation recognition, there was a discussion about points, foundation points that were transferred to others to help them achieve Paul Harris status. Some did some virtual match points. They did a raffle to win money, which was donated to the foundation. I'm afraid I'm down. I don't know much about point systems, so I'm sort of in the dark a lot about that. We talked about, one thing I did think I picked up was that in order to get members to give to the foundation, you've got to ask. It's not just out there that you think you have the requirement to ask, and that you don't just do it by telephone. You can't do it by email because of the pandemic. They just ignore the emails. If you got any opportunity to make a personal contact for people to give to the foundation, then take the opportunity. We had a notation that's, we had speakers on foundation programs to talk to the membership, like Mesa and polio, in order to ensure that the members know about the programs that the foundation is supporting. Lorraine talked about matching gifts to build greater totals. They had 37 people that became Paul Harris Fellows because they were able to go and do matching gifts. And they also learned that there is apparently one club that's transferring points from one club to another point, and that apparently was very helpful. There was some discussion about social media use, a variety of different uses, people using websites, Facebook, e-newsletters, email. I don't know that there's anything specific, but just that people were using a multitude of different things. Those are they're most, I think, familiar with. Down here in Loudonville, our foundation chair is kind of inactive because she's recovering from cancer surgery. So we don't see her that often, and that's one of the reasons perhaps we're lacking behind. And fundraising wise for all sorts of things, like a lot of clubs, we focus primarily on local. With the loss of our fundraising events this year, which were tied into public events that got canceled this last year, both our project and our scholarship funds have been extremely limited. In fact, our scholarship fund is 0 right now. So we are just trying to keep things going local as much as we can. We also have a very, very strong local Lions Club, which has its own building and its big parking lot, and continues to do a series of 5 or 6 chicken barbecue and fish fries throughout the course of the year, even during the winter, and people drive up in their car and they're raking in the money left and right. And I'm not sure who they're giving it to because I never see anything in the newspapers about what they're giving money to, but they have an advantage that we don't have, and I can't see us being able to get around that. So that's my report, Keith.
Very good. Thank you, Brian, very much. All right, let's move down to Dina reporting for group 3. Dina?
Okay, one of the ways to get more money for the foundation was really through educating people about it. So education, having a program at one of the meetings so that they can learn about it. Every Rotary every year is good. I know in Lorraine, we actually include it in their invoice for their dues. Every year when we actually send out a bill, we actually ask, we have a line for, and it's optional, for the foundation and one for Polio Plus. So it just puts that, you know, they might feel a little bit more obligated to donate. And then we also talked about recruiting new members through either service projects, asking students in college what their interests are to start a Rotaract club, asking students of color of how they can, you know, how we can grow Rotary and have a more diverse Rotary membership. And then also using things in the community to find bigger resources to recruit people.
Excellent. Thank you. Reporting from Maris's group is Mimi Johnston again. Mimi?
Hey, everybody. We talked about how Keith's theme is back to basics for this year and how education is such an important basic part of having an active Rotary and having participation in the foundation. Having more presentations on the essentials and where and when, how to get the money, connecting. We talked about maybe having just 5 minutes at the end of a meeting to talk about the foundation. So not just what we talked about in the foundation meeting, not just the nuts and bolts, but how to actually be involved. The 125 Club, one of the clubs has a competition in which their name goes into, a donor's name goes into a raffle for donating, and that they kind of have an active fun competition that way. There are other ways to donate, such as PayPal and Venmo. One of our clubs had a record year of up to 8 people who had never never donated before, making contributions. Sorry, I'm trying to get through this quickly. I took a lot of notes. I just need to slow down and take a breath here. Jan encouraged people to read the newsletters. She was really impressed with what you've been doing, Keith. And I'm not going to mention the fact that I'm on your team.
And coming from her, who's in that type of business, that was quite an honor to have her say that.
Yeah. So people talked about having Rotarians supporting a restaurant for a day, using it, you know, great idea for us to put up the Rotary tents. And something that everyone can do. Maris talked about rotarydirect.org that allows people to give smaller amounts that add up. It's an easy way to have money come automatically out of your checking account. And that through that, members can even match and get closer to their Paul Harris. It encourages people to work together and make really impactful donations, even though from an individual standpoint, it doesn't take a lot out of your wallet. That's it.
Excellent. Thank you, Mimi.
Mm-hmm.
Next, we have Eitan.
Hello, hello. Cindy, I want to say I feel your pain because I was the only non-district officer in my room as well, which is, I think, why I got to be the scribe. And there were 3 PDGs, but thankfully Angelica kept us all on track with her amazing, magnificent color-changing background. So PDG Jim Schrader really said that, you know, people learn from stories and are inspired by stories, and people love to hang with a winner. They love to be in line with a winner. And he said, you know, tell the story about how Rotary decided in the 80s that we want to get rid of polio, which was an insane, insurmountable task at the time. But by this point, we've done it. We're this close. And so you can tell people, you know, again, that you can contribute to these battles, that, you know, these things that seem like insurmountable goals, but Rotary is a proven winner and we get things done. And then PDG Rex Engel, you know, said, again, just tell the stories of what the foundation does. By giving the foundation, you're changing lives. He brought up a program called the Children of the Dump. In his club 12 years ago, they had that program the same day that they were awarding scholarships and gifts to high school students. And after watching the program, one of the students stood up and said, I want to give my scholarship back to the club so that they can donate it to these people. And again, that personal connection is what really, really changes people and inspires them to give. And it doesn't always have to be a lot of money, because every dollar counts and every dollar makes a difference to somebody's life. And it's not just something that you have to do one time, and it's not a one-time conversation. It needs to be repeated over and over and over. And then PDG Deb Cheney as well again, talked about inspiring people through the pictures and stories and the personal experiences. When she went to Sri Lanka in 2018 to install the water purifiers and being able to communicate that from a very personal level, again, made a huge impact. And being able to send people over, one of the things that I talked about in my club, since I joined only 7 years ago, I've seen multiple members go across the world. Bob Rex and Sashi Singh went to India to vaccinate kids. Ron Stoner went with Deb to Sri Lanka to install water purifiers. They're going to improve the world, people they've never met. And to see that, it was inspiring to me and inspired me to give to things. And then also the recognition of seeing the Paul Harris Fellowship Awards being passed over. And then Angelica made the point that, I'm sorry, ADG, Angelica said that, you know, some members give a lot, some give a little, and both are fine. Everyone gives what they can. But she said, you know, even have a $10 project for the folks who can't afford to give a lot, the younger members who or whatnot who are still raising their family, have a $10 project and don't ask for one person to give $10. Ask 10 people for $1, because every dollar counts and every dollar can make a difference. So have those opportunities for the folks who can afford to write the big checks and the ones who can write the little checks or push the Venmo button.
Very good. God, you guys make me so proud to hear all these stories. I love it. Okay, next, Karen Vaterna, are you there?
I am.
Okay.
In our group, we had a broad conversation, and it seemed that foundation support really boiled down to two things. Very active clubs with lots and lots of examples of efforts of things that they were doing. I was amazed at, let's see, Rotarians going shopping with children before Christmas. So at Myers, I think that was the Sandusky Club. And I too was in a district seniority heavy group. I think I'm the scribe for the same reason as previous ones. But shopping for Christmas with, you know, a child who was designated as needy, a little impacted by COVID, but they were able to pull it off. They are doing things for Easter with candy and Easter egg hunts, using that brand new tent to promote Rotary and be visible in the community, along with something coming up in the fall, the Oktoberfest. And when I thought about that, I thought, boy, you know, they've got things segmented out in a number of months toward the future with partnering. In particular, the Oktoberfest was with a young professionals group, which I thought that's a perfect partner to use the public visibility and promote Rotary. So I like the audience for all of that. They also said that things like the Queen of Hearts and the Happy Bucks continuing were just crucial. And then the communication was the second part of the whole factor, which involved things like a weekly newsletter to membership, to let them know that they were being thought of and to keep them aware of what was happening within the clubs. That was coupled with press releases and Facebook posts, and again, visibility out in the public. That was it.
Thank you very much, Karen. Okay, reporting now is past District Governor Gary Newton.
Thank you, Governor Keith. Our group was led by Lee Peters and included members from Ashland, St. Mary's, Waterville, and Overland, I believe. If I got those clubs wrong, those are at least 4 clubs in our district. We spent a lot of time talking about the foundation mainly, and we talked about the money flows and how not every member knows where their money really goes when they give that money to the foundation, and how that eventually comes back to the district. We also mentioned that the foundation is just a complex entity and often takes years to learn really very much about the foundation. It's great to have programs on the foundation in addition to just an annual program, to have more programs on foundation projects. Particularly, that's important to new members who may not know anything very much about the foundation. Another great way to see what the foundation does is through district grants, particularly this year when we had so many clubs involved with district grants. We also briefly touch on the importance of public image and how that can be used to make members aware of Rotary in your area, but how important it still is to extend a personal invitation to people to join, not just rely on public image. You've still got to ask people to join your clubs. That's about it.
Very good. Thank you, Gary. Bruce, I don't think we've heard from him yet. Bruce, speaking from Group 10. Oh, I'm sorry. That may have been from the last break.
Yeah, that was from last time,
Sorry,
but I'll jump
sorry.
in. I'll jump in, Keith.
Who's in?
Diana.
Okay.
Diana from Group 10 for this time.
Gotcha.
So we talked a little bit about sometimes you do run into some roadblocks and hurdles in when you're talking about the foundation, and just, you know, continuing to try to overcome those. Again, we also pointed to this year and the ideas of the grants, at least in, we saw across the district just an overwhelming support of the smaller grants and utilizing, and maybe that's just seen as a first step. So if we can continue to build on that, and maybe next year the clubs that participated will want to do something a little bit bigger, and then maybe a little bit farther away from their community, and in pretty soon maybe we are impacting the world in a different way. So we talked about that. We also talked about PR and just, you know, making sure your Rotary, updating the signs at the edges of your towns. How many of us have those that are outdated and need to be updated? That might be something you want to take a look at. But, you know, making sure your Rotarian symbol is seen when you're out doing things of action. And finally, we're thankful for all the takeaways that we got this morning, and shared some ideas about making sure you have a presidential succession line. So thank you. That's from Group 10.
Thank you very much. I believe that Melanie has from her group.
Yeah, I'll talk really fast. So John Hill was our facilitator. We had Tom Repke, Beth Noneman, and Mark Mraz, and I probably just butchered all their names, but we all agreed that we need to do a better job with the foundation in talking about it. Some of our clubs are using the foundation minute and emails from Deb Cheney just to teach our club a little bit more. We use visuals, we use point systems. One of the clubs actually has a member who, when another member donates, he will match that donation, which is really cool. We talked about Paul Harris celebrations in the past, some of the really grand ones that the whole district has had, promoting, educating more about, you know, Paul Harris and what foundation is. We talked about innovative ways of raising money for the Polio Plus, ways of engaging, getting our message out, putting articles in the newspaper, scholarships, Facebook, how it's nice to have a person that's designated from each club to maybe take photos and things just because we forget. Possibility of posting things like posters in local businesses so that people know who we are. And then I just wrote some phrases down: relationships, building us up, networking, Rotary is extensive, volunteering, and always having our Rotary antenna up. Thanks.
Excellent. Are there any other groups that have not reported in yet? Anybody? Bueller? Fry?
Yeah, Keith, our group.
Oh, there you go, Mike. Oh, okay. You're up.
Well, we've covered a number of the subject. I think the one point that was in the opening remarks of our group was that this is just the foundation is a subject people don't want to talk about, and we need to talk about it. And then especially in these times, you know, when there are some really huge needs, you know, at home, we still need to talk about the greater need throughout the globe and what we can do as Rotarians. A real plus is having members in your club, such as yourself and your club and Tiffin. that actually were on a mission and can bring that story back and make it real to people. And it's not just something that's a magazine article that, it's something you can reach out and touch. We need to do a better job of telling the story to a wider audience. We got to keep it, expand it beyond what the scope of the club is, and taking it to the community, to schools. You never know whose lives it may influence down the road, and opens the opportunity for more people to join Rotary. So that's kind of it in a nutshell, real quick. And I know everybody's got a busy schedule, so I'm done.
Thank you, Mike. I'm going to just real few closing comments here, and then we'll just wrap up so you get out of here. You heard the old clock on the wall says it's 12 o'clock. We all live in farming areas, and you've heard the term, we don't work in silos. We don't live in silos, especially here. And what that means, if you don't understand that, is if you're on a farm and you have a silo of wheat and you have a silo of corn and a silo of soybeans, all of that together creates a very strong farm. Well, here we have those three forms, those three silos of membership and foundation and public image, and we have to work together. The fact that we said today that there were some clubs that the foundation chairperson of this club doesn't even know who the public image chairperson is of their club is sad, but it's the way it's been done for so long, and we need to change that so that you're all working together. At the back of your toolkit, you will see a number of sheets and websites that you can go to, and email addresses. And one last thing, I would like you all to please take the time over the next several days and fill out this personal action plan. Mindy's going to, God love Mindy. Look at that. The personal action plan that we want you to go back and share with your club. Share what you learned today. Share the fact that this event hopefully was important to you and that you felt that you learned something from it. And I just want to thank you all for being part of this. I know I don't like taking time off, especially on the weekends, but it is what it is. And this is one of those events that just inspires you. And if nothing else, you walk away knowing a little bit more than when you came in this morning. So on behalf of Deb Cheney and everyone that worked on this, I thank all of you. And of course, our sages behind all the controls, of course, Mindy, and let me just say that I have to thank Gloria, because this has been the smoothest running event virtually that we've had, where we've broken out into groups, and I've done a number of these. And so I want to thank you very much for doing a fantastic job. You all have unless there's, Deb, do you have any other comments you want to make, since you kind of put this all together?
No, Keith, I just want to thank you for chairing it today, leading us all. The facilitators did an amazing job. And again, thanks to Gloria and everybody from behind the scenes. So that was a great event. And excellent. You will be getting an email with this next week so that, because we're going to want some feedback. There'll be a short survey, and we'll be sending that out to you later this week.
Okay. And also one more thank you to John Frishy, who is one of my classmates, for coming in from his district to watch today. Thank you. Have yourself a wonderful weekend. Please be safe, and we will talk with you again soon. Enjoy your tents. Do not open up the boxes when you get them. We are going to be producing a movie on how to open and to put the tent up. Please, we would appreciate that. And also, your club will have to find someone to be their person in charge of that tent, and we'll talk about that at that time. Have a great weekend and be safe. Goodbye, everybody.